Raider Nation, if you're excited for NFL free agency, I want you to go ahead and smash that like button. I can't wait to see what new head coach Josh McDaniels, general manager Dave Ziegler have in store, and I'm telling you what, it's going to be a really, really entertaining time. So if you're excited, go ahead and like the video. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and coming up here on today's show, I'm going to be breaking down the one player that I believe is the most likely to get signed by the Silver and Black. A few days ago, I released a video about 69 free agent targets, and I had a lot of people ask me, well, who do you think is the most likely to end up signing the dotted line? That's what you're going to see on today's show. And as it stands, the Raiders have about $29 million in salary cap per over the cap. The first position that we're going to talk about is quarterback. Now, the only offensive position that you're not going to see is tight end because, well, I was trying to make the top 5 offensive positions and then the top 5 defensive positions. But as it stands right now, the Raiders have 2 quarterbacks, and you got Derek Carr. Marcus Mariota is set to become a free agent, which means you need to go out there and you need to try to find a backup for DC. I know there's been a lot of rumblings and rumors around Carr. I see them keeping him personally. So the guy that I just think is the most likely to be the backup quarterback to Derek Carr is Jacoby Brissett. He played on the Miami Dolphins last season. He's also spent some time with the New England Patriots, knows the McDaniel system a little bit, and I'm not saying that I'm super confident in Brissett. However, if the idea is to be able to keep Derek Carr, personally, I think you just try to take a cheaper style of backup quarterback who can also help DC learn this playbook a little bit quicker because let's face it, if Carr goes down in that division, the AFC West, the season's probably over anyway. Here are other 5 quarterbacks that I believe that the Raiders could target. Brian Hoyer fits the exact same thing, 36 years old, but has always been a backup to Tom Brady, somebody that McDaniels trusts a lot. Maybe the Raiders just decide to bring back Mariota. I know the Cam Newton connection. Blaine Gabbert is another name to at least keep in mind, has been learning behind Tom Brady. McDaniels and Brady are really good friends. And then Mike White. If you're wondering why Mike White, he's been the quarterback for the Jets or one of the backups for quite, I don't know, maybe like the last 3 years, only 26 years old, and has some ties with Raiders quarterback coach Bo Hardegree. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button because if the Raiders sign a player this week, we're going live on the Raiders Report. It's really as simple as that. I am going to be live tomorrow on Chat Sports. We're going to be breaking down NFL free agency. Going to be having a good time. But I'm telling you right now, if the Raiders sign any player, I don't care who it is, I'm going live on the Raiders Report. So subscribe and turn on those notifications. Let's now talk about the running back room. You know, you got your top 2 studs, right? You got Josh Jacobs. You got Kenyon Drake. The Raiders just decided to move on from Alec Ingold in terms of they're not going to tender him, which means you don't have a lot of depth here, especially because Kenyon Drake's battling that injury. You're not 100% sure how healthy he's going to be. And Josh, I expect them to really have a heavy concentration on these 2 guys. Jalen Richard, he's already a free agent. Remember, his contract expired a few weeks ago. So in terms of who's the most likely running back I see the Raiders going out and get, I'm going to go with a pass-catching back, and it's James White. When I think of a pass-catching running back, I think of James White, or I think of whoever's been the pass-catching back in New England. And that's what I would look to see as being a solid safety blanket type of guy that DC can just check the ball down to. I get he's coming off an injury, but definitely the guy that I would keep in mind. The other free agent targets at running back are the Jalen Richard, maybe just bring him back. Jerick McKinnon, he's got a lot of ties with the Raiders' new running back coach, Paul Lamalu, and their time together back in 2017 with Minnesota. Brandon Bolin. Jacob Johnson's actually the fullback for New England, and he could be the fullback that they decide to bring in. And then the last name I'll bring up here is Sony Michel. The wide receiver position is next up here on the Raiders Report, and I know there's a lot of people out there like, wide receiver's a big-time need, and it absolutely is. Zay Jones, Deshaun Jackson, both free agents. Brian Edwards is listed as the wide receiver 2. However, I just don't trust him as being a wide receiver 2. His separation issues last season really, really scared me. You know, you got a solid slot guy, but I personally believe you need 2 more wide receivers, whether that's in the draft or whether that's free agency. Since we're talking about free agency here on today's show, which free agent wide receiver are the Raiders most likely to go out and sign? I believe it's 3 names, and I've been the fan of this guy, and I have been the president of the DJ Chark Hype Club, because this is everything that I believe the Raiders look for in a receiver. He's tall, he's long, he's lanky. He ran a 4.3440 back in 2021 before his injury, had 7 grabs, 154 yards. I believe DJ Chark will be the best bang for your buck wide receiver in free agency. Here are 5 other names to keep in mind. Allen Robinson's the only true number 1 out there. Christian Kirk, those are the other 2 guys that I think are the most likely. Juju Smith-Schuster's a sneaky name to keep in mind. Russell Gage from Atlanta. And then I'm going to throw out Cedric Wilson of the Dallas Cowboys. It's time now to go to right tackle. I would say this is the biggest need for the silver and black on the offensive side of the football. You could also probably say wide receiver. When you have Alex Leatherwood as your right guard, for a long, long time I've said I want a veteran next to Alex Leatherwood. However, I don't know how much money the Raiders are going to have, and with Brandon Parker, Jermaine Illuminor both being free agents, potentially you see a situation where they decide to bring back Illuminor, who has some New England ties. Brandon Parker is another name to keep in mind. The reason why I'm going to go with the name that I'm going to go with is upside and size. Cornelius Lucas is his name, and he's 6'8", 328 pounders. Another guy that I've brought up as being potentially the best bang for your buck right tackle out there. I like Morgan Moses a lot, which is a name that you're going to see. David Quessenberry is going to be a name I'm going to throw out there. Bobby Massey, Riley Reif, and then I do not want the Raiders to bring in Trent Brown because I think he's a lazy piece of crap. However, Brown's been good when he's had the Patriots offensive line coach, who now is the Raiders offensive line coach. And if you're telling me Brown's going to be motivated, then sure, we'll look into that whole ordeal. But another name to keep in mind who's not a free agent yet is La'el Collins, the right tackle of the Dallas Cowboys. He's got a lot of issues too, but if La'el hits the open market or wants to be traded, if I was the Raiders, personally, I would go out and try to trade for La'el Collins. The last player or last position group on the offensive side of the football that we'll talk about here is offensive guard. And I still believe Leatherwood's going to be the right guard. John Simpson's just not somebody that I personally trust to be the left guard. I got into some arguments on social media about Denzel Good. I like Denzel Good, but at $4.18 million, you could pay him that, or you could just cut him and save that type of money, or you just decide to keep Denzel Good as your swing tackle / swing guard. In terms of who's the most likely offensive guard the Raiders go out and get, I actually believe the next guy coming up here is the most likely player that the Raiders sign in all of free agency, and that's Ted Karras. I liked what I saw out of Karras last season in New England. He also has had some time playing center for the Miami Dolphins, but he was a big-time left guard for New England last year at 6'4", 305 pounds, played in 14 games, allowed 3 sacks. I see the Raiders going forward and trying to find more plug-and-play offensive linemen, and Karras is a good name to keep in mind that I don't think you're going to have to break the bank on. Let's go to 5 other names here. We got Austin Corbett of the Rams, James Daniel, he offers a lot of versatility of the Chicago Bears, Andrew Norwell, another really good bang for your buck type of player, Lincoln Tomlinson, you're probably going to have to pay him a little bit more, and then Connor Williams. The top guy is Brandon Scherf. However, I just see him wanting too much money, and him being a right guard is why I just don't think he ends up in silver and black. Before we get to the defensive side of the football, dude, I'm super excited. It's Selection Sunday. I love college basketball, at least. I love watching March Madness. And if anybody out there wants to go ahead and bet on who you think is going to win the tourney this year, go to chatsports.com/Raiders. Promo code Raiders125. It's going to get you the 125% deposit bonus, which means if you put down $100, you're going to get $125 for free to bet with. The top 5 teams, and this has actually changed a little bit in terms of the overall odds. The top 5 teams haven't changed, but the odds have. Gonzaga was a plus 450. Now they're plus 400. Arizona stays at 600. No, Arizona, Kentucky, I believe we're both at 650. Arizona goes up to 600. Kentucky goes down to 700. Baylor jumps Duke. They're plus 1,000, and then Duke falls down at plus 1,100. Remember, chatsports.com/Raiders. Promo code Raiders125. Let's go to the defensive side of the football now, and I'm going to talk about edge. Not that I think edge is a major need for this team, but I also think edge, when you're going up against Mahomes, Justin Herbert and Russell Wilson is never necessarily a bad thing. You have Max Crosby, who you just signed to a fat contract, 4-year, $98.98 million. You have Yannick Ngakoue, who I absolutely love. Carl Nassib, we'll see if the Raiders decide to keep him or not. You have the second-year guy, Malcolm Kuntz. Cleveland Ferrell, probably going to be his last year as a Raider. So in terms of an edge rusher, I thought, okay, not that you really need another pass rusher, it never hurts, but I was also thinking of edge rusher, somebody who also could play maybe linebacker because that's a bigger need in a 3-4 defense. So I'm going to go with Uchenna Nwosu, who I was very impressed by in Week 18 up against the Raiders. This guy was flying all over the football field. He's 6'2", 250 pounds. He gives you some ability to be able to get after the quarterback. 5 sacks last season, 8 tackles for loss, but it also gives you that extra, we'll say, confidence to be able to have somebody who can stand up, edge, be an edge rusher, but then also drop back into coverage. 5 other names, and these are not big-time names, and some of these dudes I've talked about a few times here on the show, like a Dante Fowler. And again, the teams that you see over here, the teams that they played with last season. Lorenzo Carter. Lorenzo Carter is a very sneaky name, super athletic player who finished last season very, very strong in Patrick Graham's system. Has had a few injuries, but I like from what I've seen from him. Muhammad from the Indianapolis Colts, another really good pass rusher. Charles Harris is up there in age, might decide to take a little bit of a cheaper contract. If I were to say which top 3 guys, it'd be Muhammad, Lorenzo Carter, and then Nwosu. So here's your opportunity to be honest with me. The way that the AFC West is stacked right now, it's going to be a tough division. And which position do you think right now is the biggest need for the Las Vegas Raiders on the defensive side? Is it edge, DT, cornerback, linebacker, safety? Please go ahead and let me know. Personally, I think it might be defensive tackle simply because the Raiders are going to be without 5 DTs that they had a season ago. No Jonathan Hankins, no Quentin Jefferson. Gerald McCoy's a free agent. Solomon Thomas, Darius Philon. I personally think the guy that is the most likely to come back would probably be Jonathan Hankins because of his overall size and being a fit at least in a 3-4 style of defense. And probably the biggest name that I'm going to have on this list is going to be the guy at DT, and that's Calais Campbell. Why? I know he has got really good relationship with Yannick Ngakoue. I also know he's got a really good relationship with Ryan, the guy who was with the Buddy Ryan. It's not Buddy Ryan, but it's one of the Ryans. Bob Ryan or Rob Ryan. Which one is it? Either way, he's now with the silver and black, and that's a big-time dude up the middle who I'm telling you right now, you put him up the middle, maybe you can also hope that you can get somebody like a Jordan Davis in the draft. Calais Campbell is the most likely defensive tackle. Now, that's not the only defensive tackle that I see them getting. I see them going with some other routes as well. Tim Settle is my sleeper guy who I would love for the Raiders to go out and get him. B.J. Hill, Folo, I can never pronounce his last name, I believe it's Fatukasi from the New York Jets. Really good value there. Daquan Jones has got some relationships with some of the Panthers dudes. And then also Akeem Hicks with his relationship with Champ Kelly from the Chicago Bears. Linebacker is going to be the next position that comes up here. And I'm always blown away on Twitter the amount of people that don't think that linebacker is a pretty big need here for the Raiders, simply because you don't have Corey Littleton anymore. KJ Wright's a free agent. You realistically only have Denzel Perriman, Divine Diablo. Kwiatkowski's going to end up getting cut. I know what it says on screen. Littleton, he's going to be out of there. Nicholas Morrow's a free agent, though I do see them bringing back Nicholas Morrow. So in terms of who's the most likely linebacker, I'm going to go with Kyle Van Noy. Kyle Van Noy spent multiple years with New England. Then he went down to Miami to be with Brian Flores, who had his own New England connections. Really good 3-4 linebacker, can edge rush a little bit, can drop back into coverage, can be that solid run stopper. Versatility. You're going to need some versatile players to be in Patrick Graham's system, and that's why I think Kyle Van Noy is the most likely linebacker to sign with the silver and black. Here are some other names to keep in mind. Donta Hightower. I've heard a lot of rumblings going on around Hightower. He spent a lot of time in New England. Juwan Bentley. If you can't get Hightower, look for them to maybe go out and get Bentley, though I could make the argument that Bentley might be the better bang for your buck. Jayon Brown, Kaiser White. I love White's ability to be versatile. And then if you want to try to spend big, Devondre Campbell, he's coming off a hell of a year. Some of you are like, wait a minute, Mitch, where's Bobby Wagner? I don't see Bobby Wagner coming to the Raiders. I'm sorry. So I know I mentioned earlier about March Madness. I do want to make this mention one more time because tonight might be the last night or maybe 2 more nights. When does March Madness exactly kick off? Do you know? Tuesday? Okay, so that'll be the last night for you to enter this tournament. So it's for local supporters only. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and join. It's RaidersReport.locals.com. You become a monthly supporter, a yearly supporter. Winner of the March Madness tournament is going to get a signed Rich Gannon helmet. I'm really, really excited about this opportunity. So please become a supporter, RaidersReport.locals.com. Let's now talk about corner. I know the Raiders need 5 defensive backs at least. That's what they're hoping for on the defensive side of the football. And there's going to be people out there that, I'm just going to tell you right now, you're not really going to like the guy that I think ends up coming to the Raiders. And when you have Casey Hayward, he's going to be a free agent. I see him going to Indianapolis just following Gus Bradley. Casey's more of a zone style of corner from top to bottom. And Desmond Trufant, he's a free agent as well. Nate Hobbs is going to be your nickel. Trayvon's going to be on the left side. And I'm not saying that Ahkello Witherspoon is going to be your other top corner. I just believe that he is the most likely that the Raiders go out and get. Why? It's the versatility word again. I don't really think that the Raiders are going to be able to go out and spend big on a J.C. Jackson, a Stephon Gilmore. Now, I still have them on my list for the simple reasons of the connections. J.C. obviously has his connections. Gilmore has his connections. Donta Jackson has his connections with the Panthers defensive backs coach. But, I mean, Gilmore and Jackson, they have their connections with Josh McDaniels. Steven Nelson is another versatile corner that you can put in some different situations, as well as K'Wan Williams. I recently said in a video that Witherspoon and Williams might be the most bang for your buck, and that's why they ended up making my list. Let's now talk about safety. I'm not taking anything away from Merrick, but I am taking everything away from Jonathan Abram for the simple fact of Abram can't cover. I do see the Raiders trying to use Jonathan Abram the way that Patrick Graham used Jabril Peppers for the New York Giants, and Peppers is actually another name to potentially keep in mind here as a safety option. But when it comes to Abram, he's going to be playing a lot more in the box. And if the Raiders want to have some other safeties, because let's just say they're not 100% confident in Tyree Gillespie, the name that I would go out and get, and it's a little bit risky, but it's Marcus Maye. Marcus Maye, I still believe, is one of the top safeties in the National Football League when he's fully healthy. Back in 2020, he played over 200 snaps at free safety, strong safety, and in the box. That keyword's going to come up again. It's versatility. In terms of some other free agent targets at the safety position, Jabril Peppers, who I mentioned, Quandre Diggs, both of them McCourty twins, and then Justin Reed. Those are my top 5 players that I believe the Raiders could target in free agency at safety. So we're going to show you my top 10 players at each position. But before I get into it, the Raiders report is all about, and I mean all about the interaction. So who are the Raiders most likely to sign in free agency? And I guess it's an educated guess. That's all this show is, was an educated guess. Me taking the stories that I've done, me taking the reports that I've done, me taking the people that I've talked to, and trying to put together the top 10 players that the Raiders could go out and get in free agency. So here we go, guys. The most likely to be signed: quarterback Jacoby Brissett, running back James White, wide receiver DJ Chark, Cornelius Lucas at right tackle, Ted Karras at offensive guard, Uchenna Nwosu at edge, Calais Campbell, defensive tackle, Kyle Van Noy at linebacker, Ahkello Witherspoon at corner, and Marcus Maye at safety. If I can get 3 out of 10 of these right, personally, I think that's pretty good. You try to look at these things like mock drafts, and the best mock drafts every year are about 25% accurate. So if I can be around that, I'm going to go ahead and pat myself on the back. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you turn on those notifications, because remember, if the Raiders make a move, we're going live.